Well, we're back in the pub.
After a walk.
And I'm thinking of having corned beef, sauerkraut and Gruyere cheese with Reuben dressing, served on toasted rye bread with garlic and parmesan dressed leaves. And Pat is thinking of having slices of air-dried ham, watermelon, feta cheese and mint oil. Let you know. Well, we've just had a really nice walk round the village of Patnai, and this is a lovely place. It's an oasis, a best kept secret, this little village and the pub. Yeah, lovely houses, fantastic little place, and we had a bit of sun for a change. Anyway, I'm going back to 1966, and it has to be said that the topic of conversation now is drinking, because I did a fair bit of that. Now I were getting about £11 a week, but one thing you've got to remember here is in 1966 the exchange rate was 10 marks to the pound. I mean, it's nowhere near that now. So £11 a week were about 110 marks a week. 110 marks a week in 1966. And when you consider that a glass of beer was 30 pfennigs and there's 100 pfennigs to a mark, you're talking about 3 glasses of beer for a mark. A mark was worth, what it a bob? A shilling. 5p. 3 glasses of beer for 5p. I mean, 1 mark that was for 3. You could go out and spend 5 marks and have 15 beers. I mean, it's little wonder. Oh, the OC eventually called me in and ordered me to open a post office savings account because he was sick of seeing me in a perpetual drunken stupor. Those were his words. So you can see how I just I mean, I woke up in some places during that year, honestly. I mean, I once woke up in bed and I had something stuck to my back. I got out of bed and it was half a roast chicken stuck to my back. I must have bought it the night before to eat, took it to bed with me and fell asleep and just rolled on it. And another day I woke up with a bale of straw in bed with me. I'd taken a bale of straw to bed with me the night before. I mean, these nights I hardly remember any of them, what the hell I did. But I was banned from nearly every pub in Bergen. Bergen was the nearest town, and I was banned from just about every pub. Now, outside the camp was 2 pubs. They weren't called pubs, of course. They were called guest houses. They weren't anything like pubs. But outside the camp were two guest houses. One was called Maggie's and the other one was called the Snake Pit. Now, the Snake Pit was the territory of the Royal Artillery and Maggie's was the territory of the Royal Engineers, and never the twain shall meet. Although I won't say I never went in the pit, in the snake pit, because I did. And a funny story is that there used to be a woman who used to go in the snake pit and sit at the bar, a very rare thing, and we used to call her Socks, because she wore army socks. Now, Socks was not very beautiful at all, and we used to use her as a barometer for when we needed leave, because when you started fancying Socks, you knew that you were ready to go home on leave. But she was always in the snake pit. I never saw her in Maggie's. But a friend, Andy, who actually became, he eventually were our best man at our wedding, who I were friends with, he went in the pit and he got into a fight. And a lot of the people who were in the Royal Artillery were Fijians, and one of them was called Kelly. He was a rating, and he got into a fight with Andy, and he bit him in the throat and broke his Adam's apple. That's the kind of, and in fact, he once, when you were in the cookhouse, when you got a plate, the first one to give you your food was the meat chef. The meat chef was always a separate chef. He put a slice of meat on your plate, and then you went and all the other people put your taters on and your veg and all that. And Kelly wanted another slice of meat, and the meat chef wouldn't give him another slice of meat. So he grabbed the knife off the meat chef and chased him out all around the cookhouse and chased him out. Don't know what happened with that. But yeah, that he would have Fijian, Kelly.
Didn't he bite somebody's ear off?
Bit somebody's ear off. Who was that? He bit a taxi driver's ear off. Yes, I think it was Kelly. Yeah, who bit a taxi driver's ear off. Yeah. And after that, you couldn't sit in front anymore. They had a glass screen up, so you had to sit it back, and they had a glass screen to protect them. But one day, I had to go with a corporal to Mönchengladbach, take these Land Rovers to be yard, and we drove them to Mönchengladbach, and this corporal, his last words to me was, don't be late in the morning, we've got to set off early. Well, I went out on my own, boozing, and I got so drunk. I do not remember anything about it, but when I woke up, I was in something like a dormobile or a camper or something. I was sat in the passenger seat, sat there, and I woke up and I was in the middle of a housing estate somewhere in Mönchengladbach. I had no idea where I was. I had no idea how I got into this camper. The doors were open, the key was in the ignition, and I realised I had something down my shirt, and I pulled these papers out, and it were all the documents for this camper, whatever it was, I was sat in. Well, and when I looked in my wallet, I had no money. I have no idea to this day how I come to be in that camper. But I got out of it, and I believe there were there were trams. I walked off this housing estate and a tram come round the corner and there was a platform on the back and I jumped on it. I had no money. I just stayed on this platform at the back and I waited a bit. And eventually it only went round the corner and I recognised the camp. So when it come to a stop, I jumped off. I went to the camp and of course the corporal there was glowering. He said, I checked your bed and I knew you hadn't been in bed all night. Where the hell have you been? And I told him the story. But anyway, we drove back to the camp with these two. We changed these Land Rovers for two brand new ones. And we drove the two brand new Land Rovers back to Ona. Yeah, my drinking days at Ona.
But when you left the camper van, you left all the documents in it, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
You didn't take them?
Yeah, I don't know whether I bought it. I don't know how much money I had on me.
But it stood there until somebody else came along and thought, oh.
I have no idea what happened to that camper, whatever it was. I can't remember whether it was just seating in the back or whether it were a camper. Sort of a Volkswagen-sized thing, you know.
VW.
Yeah, yeah. See ya.